You need to watch this.
We should prepare to lose our position as holder of the world's reserve currency. That is happening in slow motion. It's unmistakable.
The US dollar is the widely accepted and really the only serious candidate for the world's principal reserve currency.
This is toilet paper. It's just not how much they printed. It's how much they've had in storage.
I think I will use the word doomed in the long term.
Everything this country is doing is just feeding what our adversaries think is a declining power.
After 80 years of complete dominance, the American dollar could be living its final days. So how bad is the situation? And will the American dollar collapse in the next few months or even days? This is what we're gonna discuss in today's video. So bring your coffee and turn off the lights, because this is serious. To understand all of this, you need first to know what a currency collapse means exactly. A currency collapse is simply when the currency loses all of its value. Money is nothing rather than a promise from the government to you. You can consider it a mirror for the economy. When the economy is healthy, the currency is healthy. When it's suffering, the currency loses most of its value. When it collapses, the currency gets completely destroyed. So what causes a currency collapse? There are three main reasons why a currency may collapse. Number one is hyperinflation. It's simply your currency losing its power over time. So if a $5 bill might buy you 12 cans of soda today, and then tomorrow, the same $5 only buys you 6 cans, the currency's value becomes less and less. And this can create a spiral that ends up in it becoming practically worthless. Number two, political instability. This is not the case in the US and is unlikely to happen. But in today's world, we're becoming closer than ever to other countries. And that means we're getting affected by what's going on overseas. That's why the Russian-Ukrainian war has hit the American economy so bad in the last few months. Number three, high debt. Most countries have high levels of debt, but in fact that doesn't matter as long as the underlying economy is strong. But when you have an unstable economy, crazy inflation, unstable labor market, this can really hit the currency very bad. Let alone natural disasters, wars, and pandemics. These are all key players when it comes to currency strengths, and it seems like they are all playing against the American dollar at the moment. And that takes us to the most important question. What makes the dollar so stubborn to all of this? Unlike any other currency, the US dollar has a special place in the global financial system. It's considered the safest currency, with many other countries keeping huge amounts of dollars in reserve. Not just that, but there are 11 foreign countries that use the American dollar as their main currency because their local currency has lost its value and doesn't make any financial sense to be used anymore. So now, what if everything went wrong? What's next? For most currencies, they will get destroyed so fast, but it's a different story when the same thing happens to the dollar. It takes more than hyperinflation, political instability, or high debt to destroy the dollar. The key player here is how the US government reacts to all of this in the short term. And this takes us to the most important man on the show, Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman. For the last 3 years, Mr. Powell has been a household name, not only to America, but worldwide. He acts like a heart surgeon in the financial system. That's why he gets blamed for almost everything 24/7. He's the one that can keep the economy afloat if everything went wrong, except for inflation. This is the reason he's being hawkish for the past few months, because he knows very well that inflation is the last resort, and fighting it back could change the whole scene and keep both the economy and the dollar alive. Powell is in charge right now. He is the dealer, and everyone else is just a player on the table. So the confusing question is, why is this happening now? Right now, China, Russia, and Iran are all trying to isolate the US. It's no secret that China has tried many times to replace the dollar with the yuan. This is very hard to achieve, but it's not impossible. According to Bloomberg, the Chinese yuan surpassed the dollar in monthly trading volume in Russia in February for the first time. Sounds scary, huh? Not really. If you take a deep breath and think again about it, it's gonna start to make sense. Since the beginning of the war, the US has forced multiple sanctions on Russia, and at the same time, China opened its doors to Putin. So it makes sense for the Chinese government to have the upper hand and be able to force Russia to use the yuan in the trading exchange between the two allies. At the end of the day, Russia has fewer options than China when it comes to currency dominance, because they lack the economic power that can back the currency. In plain English, China produces millions of products, while on the other hand, Russia has way less productive power compared to the Red Dragon. Does that mean a long-lasting friendship between China and Russia? Yes Yes and no. It all depends on how the world is going to react to the Chinese-Russian union, which isn't really a union. It's just like you getting beaten by the biggest kid in the neighborhood, so you have no choice but to ask your older cousin to defend you. Does that mean you're strong? Of course not. What if the big guy decided to be friends with your cousin? What would you do then? So now that we have a clear idea on what's going on with the dollar, what do you think is gonna happen next? It's really easy to predict what's going to happen over the next few months. The three allies will do their best to strengthen their union. On the other hand, the US will keep fighting inflation, the banking crisis, and the labor shortage. So if the US succeeds in stabilizing the economy, which is likely to happen, the Russian, Chinese, and Iranian union will have minimal impact on both the American economy and the dollar. It's not just a war between Russia and Ukraine. It's a war between Putin and the dollar. Long story short, the dollar is here to stay.